Hello, this is Theron making my contribution to the Thank You John Taylor Gatto video Snowball. Well, I'd like to thank my fellow New Yorker John Taylor Gatto for the things that everyone would thank him for, which would be for being a New York City school teacher for 30 years. This must have been extremely difficult because John was teaching in bad neighborhoods, like the one I grew up on the Lower East Side. So there may have been some physical danger to him, and I think that there must have certainly been an emotional toll dealing with unruly kids and unhappy kids and confused kids and angry kids because of the crime, drugs, and broken homes in New York City. Um, but not just to show up. John looked at what was wrong with the entire school system, which I could tell you it was wrong. That's why one of the reasons I started playing hooky. Was it doesn't make any sense, and John proceeded to do things that made sense. Now that is a tale unto itself, and probably one that you never really hear about, even from John, which is that to buck the system must have meant to show to everybody around him in the system that they were not doing what he was doing, and that he could do what he was doing. So I think that must have caused a lot of professional friction for him. I think that must have been very uncomfortable. And he seems to have succeeded in being permitted to do it over that length of time, 30 years, because he got such good results. And why would he do that? Why would he show up to teach people for 30 years, to teach other people's children for 30 years? Because he would. And why would he insist on devising a curriculum that would work? And why would he insist on inspiring all of those kids? It's because he would do that. So thank you, John Taylor Gatto, for doing that. And there are two more things that I personally am very grateful to John Taylor Gatto for. The first one is that he proved what I and many others had long suspected, was that there is a Pavlovian design to the education system. And John Taylor Gatto had turned up early correspondence between the founders of the New York State Board of Regents, saying quite bluntly that not everyone can be a Plato because someone has to take out the garbage. Well, that's not what we're supposed to be doing here, but apparently some people that run this thing and some people that conceived it think that's what they're supposed to be doing here, and they are. And John also showed that historically this is a thing that happens. That somebody says, "Well, let's condition everybody," and then somebody says, "Yeah, okay," and then everybody, and then they say, "Well, all right, everybody's going to get conditioned now," and then some people get conditioned, and then they keep teaching it into the future. And the example that John Taylor Gatto gave that proved this was that of Johann or Johannes Fichte, Fichte, who, after the Prussian king, and I believe the 1880s or thereabouts, had his army, a mercenary army, had lost a war, got the king to accept a proposal to require all children to have a very strict education in which they learned their role and only their role so that they could fulfill their role. Now, what was going on at the time and the way that the people thought, would likely explain why such a seemingly extreme thing would come about. But I got a hold of that particular work by Fichte, and I read it, and it did most explicitly say to condition children so that they could do only that role, and condition them, basically not to look up from it. So whatever it meant in the day, that was, maybe there's some light that we could cast on it as to what the man meant and why he did that, but it's not what the doctor ordered up here. It's not what we're supposed to be doing. And this is the origin of the educational system. So John put that into concrete terms for us, and I'm very grateful for that. The other thing that John did for me that is starting to become much more important now that I'm middle-aged, I'm 52, is that John Taylor Gatto shows what you should be thinking and how you should be acting when you know what's up and your loved ones do not, and when the society around you does not, and when the society around you has a negative reaction to the truth that you're telling. And what I really take away from it is that John Taylor Gatto must really love the world and the human world and people, to persevere as he did. And the thing that I'm referring to that I'm so grateful for is his example, that as he speaks and as he writes, he's just telling the truth, and he's not angry at anybody. He's rather humorous. He never retreats from the truth, and he'll say something angry if he decides to. But he's a scholar and a gentleman, and what he's really done is he's set an example that one may imitate to a degree. Just how to maintain your humanity and to be impelled by your love for society and people to try and improve things, while also telling the truth and insisting and just being very patient. And that example, that's invaluable. And so thank you, John Taylor Gatto. You are proof that you cannot keep a good man down.